like a way for you to charm people, or was it also a defense mechanism for you, comedy?
I think I love people, man. And I think that like, making people laugh is kind of like cooking for them. I mean, dude, that's the thing is like, it's really hard for me to have these like, conversations, like these high-minded conversations that teeter on pretension because I am a comedian and I just want to make fun of myself because I have that self-awareness. But, I think that it's a way to connect with people and to, to people please, to make them happy. If they're happy, they're not going to, yell at you or be mean to you in any way. If I had to really break it down to a psychological
thing. Well, that's
thing.
if they react positively to the joke, right? I mean, there must have been instances where people got mad at you.
Yeah, but I think that I've always been able to frame myself as a bit of a rascal or a cad, maybe. So it's like, oh, that's Sam T. He's, I don't think it's never malevolent. I don't think I ever seem vicious. I just seem like I'm like a naughty kid getting my hand slapped, if anything. I've definitely had instances where I've like, been on stage and said something to someone that was, I don't know. It's almost like I read their mind, like a telepathic thing. And I said the exact worst thing to that person and it cut them very deep and they've had to leave the room. Like there's been 2 instances where people in different cities in America have been talking during my show, or not even talking, like pouting, looking sad. And I've said to them, these 2 couples in completely different instances, looks like you guys are mourning the anniversary of your son's death. And in both of those instances, they were actually mourning the anniversary of their son's death.
That's the worst thing. I can't think of a worse thing to happen.
No, me either. Which is probably why I said it, because they were upsetting me because they weren't laughing at my dumb bullshit comedy. So, I don't know, dude. I think that I'm a bit of an empath in that regard.
But when you say that you did that, that kind of makes me think that you kind of like to flirt with the idea that it could be possible. Cause I'm not sure whether I'd be able to do that the same way, but there's a bit of danger involved in doing that.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's also just me being a fucking pouty, petty asshole because my jokes weren't working in rural Iowa. I mean, I do like the idea of doing non-safe comedy. I don't like, comedy that, is very straightforward and pedantic and goes from A to B to C. I like either, creative comedy that goes outside the bounds of set up punchline, whether that be very absurd or very dark or very silly. I like that a lot more than just people who get up there and say their shit, rote, word for word. So sometimes when you're playing and you're improvising, you do get in positions where your brain says stuff that your mouth didn't like really, or like your mouth says something your brain didn't clear. Like you're kind of in that like, that state of pure creation. And when you do that, sometimes you say some of the most transcendently funny stuff and some of the most awful, mean stuff too.
Mm. It's almost like you lose control of your own self.
Yeah, because I do think that like when you're really creating, you're not thinking, it's like when, musicians are in that jamming state and they're not, cause I played drums first. So I'm like, I think I'm kind of able to tap into just the realm of being exactly in the moment. And, when that does happen, it's really exciting, but sometimes you just like, you'll say something and then you'll be like, oh my God, what have I done?
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that you used to play drums, but that in a way makes sense because maybe, and I have no first person experience in stand-up comedy, but maybe that rhythm is in you when you do your stand-up comedy. Having that experience behind the drums helps you as well in knowing what rhythm to carry.
I 100% agree, man. I think one of my biggest strengths as a comedian and as an author is my rhythm. I think that if you read my book, I definitely, without any education, I'm able to tell when something's lyrical and when there's a meter to it. And, if you read my book aloud, which I did during the editing process, it has an internal, rhythm to it that I think comes from being behind the drum kit since my earliest memories. My dad was a drummer. My grandpa was a drummer. So it was just always a part of how my brain was like wired was with different syncopations. And, yeah, I mean, definitely in stand-up, you're playing with tempo and you're playing with volume, and that's just what you're doing with drums as well.